Welcome to Here You Go. Here You Go is a project I started in order to present media that has been created or enhanced with AI. The project is primarily for my own entertainment and experimentation, but feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy it too. And now for the presentation.
40,000, screamed Tori. Bids climbed again, to 50,000, to 55, then to 60. At 62,000, the fat man from Io gave up. Sold, droned the auctioneer. I hope the man from Earth has the money, and his money's worth. Now, lot 28, 5 cases, 1 broken open. The rest. Tori did not hear any more. He turned and stared blankly at a vision in blue spider silk. Gossamer fabric so swathed the girl, covering so densely in so many folds, that she had no more form than an ear of corn. A face showed dimly through layers of diaphanous cloth, but no features were clear enough to have real definition. "Who are you?" gasped Tori. "Your partner." The voice, as smooth and silken as the garments, seemed bodiless, but it suggested purringly that the girl was not. "Don't be so obvious about it. We won't open the boxes here. Hire men to move our loot and I'll have a robo-truck waiting outside the freight doors in 5 minutes. Be there." Tori nodded dumbly. She vanished again, so quickly that he almost wondered if he had imagined her. But her money was real enough. He fumbled it, paying grim-faced attendants, then hired men to move the heavy crates to the freight elevator. At street level, with the boxes blocking most of the entrance, he waited. A wheeled robo-truck quickly appeared and the girl descended the ramp. Like a blue fury, she directed the men and had the space crates loaded in a brace of minutes. Then a hand snaked out from the fabric folds. "Half of 82,000 is 41,000, she said. "We can settle up now." "Half of 62,000, objected Tori. "You don't know me very well," she murmured. "It has to be all or nothing." The gun against his stomach decided Tori. "Don't be like that. You win." He shrugged. "I guess we're both taking a chance at that. 41,000 is a heavy investment in curiosity." The gun vanished. "You've no idea how much of a chance we're taking," she mused aloud. "People are curious. Yotile is a fool, and I didn't dare attract attention by bidding myself. Half of the Transhuminers goon squad was at that auction just watching me. You should know what that means." "Should I?" "You should if you don't. But we can't stand here talking like moonstruck lovers. Not unless we're tired of living. Which is it, partner, me or the goon squad?" "You, I guess." Tori laughed grimly. "Though if I'd known about the goon squad I'd have given you less argument." Her head tossed under the myriad veilings of spider silk. She scrambled aboard the robo-truck and pressed the motor stud. "Come on, then," she ordered sharply. The truck was in motion almost before Tori could leap to the seat beside her. Going at suicidal speed through the twisting alleyways of the old city, Tori felt hopelessly confused and lost. Worse, the girl kept glancing over her shoulder, and her driving suffered. It was reckless enough at best. "You drive," Tori urged. "Unless you're psychic you can't watch where you're going and where we've just been. If anything's following us, it's probably just an ambulance looking for business." "Make sure," she ordered breathlessly. At first Tori could distinguish nothing but a blurred rush of shadowy buildings whirling away behind them as if being drawn towards some colossal whirlpool. But he sensed pursuit, just as the girl had, perhaps because she seemed to expect it. Then he saw 2 huge dark vehicles race into view just before she swerved the robo-truck around a corner and shut off rear vision. "We are being followed," he grudged. "Now where, partner?" "Home, I had thought," she said. "But we'll never make it. And I don't want those wolves going through our place. It's bad enough without that." The robo-truck hit a straight stretch. Pencil beams of light licked out from the street shadows behind. Fire flowers blossomed, but the noise of heavy explosions was lost in the roar of racing motors. Showers of dust and flakes of fiery, disintegrating masonry deluged the careening robo-truck. Hurtling around a blind corner, the truck aimed itself into a narrow opening between buildings. Metal ground and screamed in abrasive contact with stone, but the robo-truck rebounded and careened down side alleys, around sharp corners, and over moving walks fortunately deserted. With the nerveless skill of an old trucker, the girl wrestled some sanity into the vehicle and chose her route from the most unlikely possibilities. At last, after a splint through a tangle of dark avenues and narrow alleys, she brought the robo-truck to a brake-melting halt in the deep shadow of high, blank-faced buildings. "See what I mean?" she said, voice loud and shrill in the silence that seemed deafening with the motor cut out. Shuddering, the girl crouched behind the seat shield and fumbled inside her garment for the gun, alert for signs of pursuit. "Relax," advised Tori. "We're alone for the moment. Wherever we are. It's an abandoned warehouse. Belongs to my grandfather," she gasped. "Can you get those boxes inside with only me to help?" "Of course, if there's tackle, some wheels and a ramp." With a coded light key the girl opened heavy doors and got necessary equipment. Fortunately, she was stronger than she looked, and about as fragile as steel wire. She gave Tori no more mercy than she gave herself. It was still a mean job. Inside the vast, echoing interior, Tori and his companions seemed as unimpressive as ants in an auditorium. Huge, vaulted lofts were dusty with disuse. The huge cubes of the space crates looked like unmarked dice, rolled by giants, and forgotten. Tori was tired and irritable. "I've played along with you," he said. "Now that we're here I'd like some facts. Because of the boxes, I'll assume your connection with Roper. Who are you, and what is all this about?" "Don't you know?" demanded the girl. Laughing an icy trill, she threw back the veiling spider silk from head and face, bunching the material neatly behind her neck. Her face was oddly elfin, and distorted to curious proportions by the Martian half-mask of delicately etched glass. Wide-set eyes of periwinkle blue tilted at the corners, and the smile of her sword-slash-mouth was both teasing and disarming. Tori was suddenly glad that there had been no such face as hers to remember during his 5-year exile. "I'm Tharelson," she murmured. "My grandfather is in BAS, the Martian importer. Does that explain anything?" "It may," said Tori, "but not to me. I'm a stranger here, myself. Long ago I was Roper's partner. We heard he was dead. You might say I'm acting for his estate. Roper is still alive, very much alive. And don't worry, he can look after his own affairs." An ugly thought struck Tori, then, though he had gnawed at the idea before. "You don't happen to be one of his affairs?" Her smile vanished. The dark hair swirled like black smoke as she tossed her head. Her eyes turned dark and cold with the arrogant pride of her ancient race. "That was a bad choice of words, partner," she said with a haughty stare. "I have promised to marry Bart Roper." Anger surged hotly in Tori. "Bad choice of words for you, not me. Roper can't marry you or anyone else. Whatever arrangement you have he stopped. Did he happen to mention a wife back on Earth? A wife back on Earth?" He hoped the flash of resentment in him was for Rose, not for himself. "Roper said she was dead," the girl answered. "Perhaps he believes she is dead. In any case, it doesn't matter. Martian law does not recognize marriages on other planets. He can pay her off and I'll see that he forgets her. Perhaps." Tori mastered himself. "I'd still like to know what I paid all those credits for. Why not open the boxes and find out?" From a trapdoor locker she brought tools, an atomic torch and a huge wrecking bar. The boxes yielded easily to persuasion. The first box, which was smaller, contained an assortment of lenses. Banks of atomic electric batteries hooked up into an intricate arrangement of copper wire coils did not explain any puzzles. Nor did the contents of the larger case, which were mainly a folding framework of metal suspending endless layers of foil or metal cloth too finely woven for the eye to follow. The foil or fabric was eerie stuff, as unsubstantial as curdled moonlight. Like liquid mercury, it seemed almost alive as it crawled away from the touch. "I thought the only mirages you could buy came in bottles," commented Tori unhappily. "Don't be a fool," rasped the girl in a strange tone. It is a Mirage for Planet X. I thought you knew more since you knew Roper. But I'll stand by my agreement. All or nothing, both ways. I'd better explain. And now that you're in, try to act intelligent. I'll tell you all I can, then we'd better get this equipment to my grandfather before anything else happens. A buzzer near the metal sliding doors droned a warning. The girl's face turned upward toward a blinking red alarm light. I'd say something was already happening, said Tori. Someone's in the alley outside, gasped Thurl Sr. It can't be the police. They wouldn't dare interfere. Then who? Probably Ferax of Transhuminers Union. Or his strong-arm squad. If they find us here with that, they'll kill both of us. I don't know what to do. Why don't you stop fooling with that silly blaster gun? Give it to me and find yourself a hole to crawl in. This is my department. Let me do the worrying. She laughed. I might do just that. She handed over her pop gun. It was a typical woman's weapon, squat, flat and short-barreled. Up close it could vaporize a man, but it would have no range worth mentioning. Tori grinned at it in contempt. Motioning her out of the line of fire, he crouched behind the wrecked crates. A heavy crash echoed through the cavern-like vaults as force was applied to the metal doors. But the doors were dursteel, 2 inches thick. They held, but the interior reverberated with harsh metallic clangor. 2 more blows sounded, then a lengthening silence. A circle of redness glowed incandescent on the metal, spreading over the panels like spilled paint. Waves of heat sprang outward. Heat haze danced in the cool air as visible vibrations of blinding crimson radiated from the softening door. Runnels of melting steel channeled the metal surface, dripping to spatter on floor. The girl was busy with something, but with his eyes riveted on the door, Tori could not spare her any attention. He imagined she might be trying to hide the contents of the boxes. They'll be through in a minute, she whispered. Tori nodded. Drops of water splashed down suddenly. Tori felt it on hands and face, glanced upward. Rain, inside a building in a domed city. He must be crazy. But it was real. Drops became a deluge, slashing down in increasing torrents. Water sizzled on the incandescent door, and clouds of steam burst upward, obscuring everything. Pools formed, joined. In moments the floor was inches deep in water. Automatic sprinklers, said the girl. Set for any upward shift of temperature. Steam clouds cleared. A needle of light burned through. In rifts, Tori saw the door dissolve, slide suddenly into a bubbling, spitting mass that spread in fiery rush across the floor. In wild rush came dark figures, dancing gingerly to avoid tongues of hot metal. Tori fired carefully. He kept finger on stud until the blaster charge was used up. He flung the useless weapon. But the dark figures were gone. The doorway, with sagging leaves of soft metal, was empty. That's all, sister, he said, turning. She was gone. Something like a blue flash whisked out of vision. There was only the metal framework supporting a cylinder of the woven quicksilver. And, as he watched, it vanished. More dark figures blocked the doorway. They came at him in a surge of reckless violence. He stood up and met them with empty hands. Then darkness struck through his brain. Chapter 3. Tori opened one eye cautiously. He was in bed, a soft bed with clean linens. Beside the bed loomed a monstrous figure. Something that might have been, and was, a Venusian-type mutant. It seemed not quite human, and big even for a Venusian. But it was not a stranger. Ferax, whispered Tori, opening both eyes. It's been a long time, said the Venusian in thick accents. Not long enough. Ferax laughed brutally. His head was a hairless globe of coarse leather, into which some humorist had punched a parody of human features while the material was still pliable. Nothing about Ferax looked pliable now. You're still tough, Tori. And you're keeping fast company these days. But you'll never learn to work with your brain instead of your fists or a gun. Tori smiled with bruised, pulpy lips. Look who's talking. You're getting soft, Ferax. Last time your boys worked over Roper and me, we couldn't walk or talk for a week. And I hear you're in fast company yourself since you gave up strike breaking and took over union racketeering. You may be a big name now, but you're as ugly as ever. And to me, you'll always smell like the skunk in the perfume works. Ferax bellowed happily. Smells are more subtle in higher brackets, that's all. In a stinking world, nobody smells too pretty. Not even you, and certainly not your girlfriend, or is she Roper's? Tharelson? Roper's, I guess. You'll have to ask them. I barely saw the girl myself. I just got a night before last, spent a day answering questions for the police, then rested up one night before buying myself a package of trouble. Nobody tells me anything, so I'll have to guess. Is Roper behind this rat race? Ferax grunted. I could almost believe you don't know. So I'll tell you. He's in with a Martian power grab. They need transuranic metals to power their underground cities. The stuff is scarce and expensive. Everyone's looking for new sources, and we'll have to find some soon or our whole economy will break down. The Martians are in the same jam, desperate. Roper has a new source? Not new. We all know where the metals are. Neptune's big moon, Triton. And Pluto. The trouble is getting them out. Tori shook his head. But you've mined under bad conditions before. Triton and Pluto should be no worse than some. Not the mining. Transportation. Freight rates from Pluto or Triton would eat up all the profits. And take too much time. Who wants to spend 12 years hauling in one shipload of ore? The answer is, nobody. The Martians can afford the money since they're already paying top rates for whatever we can supply. But we think Roper has a shortcut for transportation. If he has, I'd better get in with him. Sounds like a very good profit. Ferax chuckled. I know better than that. You and Roper hate each other worse than you hate me. Besides, I can offer a better deal. He'll only swindle you out of your cut, and you know it. Throw in with me and you'll stay alive, plus a slice of whatever I take. Are you serious about that? If so, I'll have to think it over. Is there any use asking you where I can find Roper? No use at all, said Ferax, grinning. I don't know. If I did, I'd go there after him. If you do, I'll have you followed. You always did have a genius for picking the losing side, which makes it a pleasure to fight you. You're free to go as soon as you're strong enough. If you decide to play things my way, let me know. I'll give you a pass, day or night. Getting into Union headquarters is like breaking into the mint. I live like a minor king, and the place is a fort. Tori snorted. It's probably safer that way, when so many people hate your guts. Ferax shrugged. For that compliment, I'll give you some free advice. Don't tell the police about that shooting fray in the warehouse. You're nobody, and the police would love to clear the Union and your Martian twerp by using you for scapegoat. You or the girl killed 6 of my best hardheads. Also, if you see her or Oldson BAS, watch yourself. They're both trickier than snakes and a lot more poisonous. One thing more, said Tori. What happened to the girl? Ferax opened eyes wide. You tell me. She was gone, along with the stuff from the boxes. My men found you sprawled out unconscious from a blow on the head. You were suckered, friend. Suckered. Ferax produced a metal ident card impregnated with coded electronic inks. This will keep you out of jail if your cop friend has any such ideas. Also, it will get you in here to see me anytime, day or night, if you change your mind. Tori laughed, but accepted the card uneasily. That will be the day or night. Like all police stations, the building reeked of unwashed bodies and harsh disinfectants. In Granner's office, Tori faced out the storm. Amateur, said Granner in disgust. Why did I ever get mixed up with you? Tori glared back at him. Our lovey-dovey arrangement is brittle enough to break off any time you want it that way. Granner shook himself like a wet dog. Not yet. Whether you know it or not, you did pick up some interesting facts. I guess Tharelson has tricked smarter men than you. And she'll probably keep that partnership bargain, since Martians are funny about honor in a business deal. Since she was the one at the auction, we can assume that the Martians picked up Roper from the wrecked escape ship and that he's alive. I'm sure she knows where Roper is, said Tori. Now if I knew where to find her, that's easy enough, Granner told him acidly. Her grandfather has a big place in the old Martian sector, about 20 acres on the surface, and Thal knows how many cubic miles of tunnels and cellars underground. He calls himself an importer, and after his own quaint way, he is. Any vice for a price. Sunboss Garden of Delights is a combination gambling den, freak show, amusement park, carnival and emporium of forbidden drugs and narcotic liquors. We've tried raiding the joint but gave that up. Too risky, with their mines and booby traps, and the Martians just scamper into the holes and get lost. Below ground is a rabbit warren of caverns and tunnels and vaults that used to be for growing and curing mushrooms and commercial molds. We know the girl is there, somewhere, but you're afraid to go in after her? Not quite that. If ordered on regular police business, I'd go poking into even that Martian hornet's nest. But we have nothing on her or Sunbas, and only a suspicion that Roper's hiding there. Since you muffed something easy, like the auction, I doubt if you could manage to get in, let alone locate her or Roper. Who says I muffed anything? Demanded Tori irritably. I know what was in the boxes, though I didn't tell the girl I knew. It's a matter transmitter, the only one in the solar system. An inventor back on Earth was knocked on the head and his working model stolen. He's alive, but has lost his memory, and the plans were taken along with the model. Roper's big secret is stolen property, but getting it back may be a problem. I didn't guess what it was till the girl used it to escape from the warehouse. Probably they want the thing to bring back heavy metal ores from Triton or Pluto. I've learned more in 3 days than you did in 4 years. Granner bowed sardonically. Oh, sure. I apologize. And now I'm sure you can lay hands on a man with a perfect escape method from anywhere to anywhere. The rat holes were bad enough, but this really does it. The girl is still a good lead, said Tori quietly. I'm going after her. Are you, or do I have to ask help from Ferax? Suit yourself about Ferax. I won't risk my job on a chance Roper might be there. How much is your job worth? Asked Tori, with a sneer. Granner's face twitched. For half that dough you threw away at the auction, I could buy a plankton farm on Earth. Tori licked his lips and left. Back at the hotel he cashed a bank draft and put 20,000 credits in currency into an envelope with a note and sent it to Granner. The note began, I've always wanted to buy a policeman. Now you can afford to do your job. I'm seeing Ferax first, but with or without his help, I'm going after Roper. Terse instructions followed. Tori did not expect too much of Granner, but the man represented law and authority as far as either existed on Mars, and dealing with Roper, Ferax, and the Martians all at once was scarcely a one-man job. TransU Miners Union housed itself in a citadel remarkable even on Mars. It occupied the center of a large area, cleared, floodlighted and surrounded by a charged wire fence. Inside the defense circle were booby traps triggered for the first careless step off marked pathways patrolled by robot guards. Tori's metal ID card got him through the gateway by tripping electronic relays, and each incorruptible robot guard passed him after being shown the card. At the building doorway he had to satisfy a series of dubious and hard-bitten human questioners, but his pass and the magic name of Ferax got him inside. Doors opened. Robot voices directed him across echoing lobbies to a bank of elevators. In a locked cage he descended 5 floors below surface level. In the corridor another bodiless voice spoke, end of the hall. Door on the right. Tori followed directions. The ritual was getting on his nerves. His footsteps echoed hollowly. The place smelled damp and moldy as a tomb. Opening the door on the right with a wave of his keyed pass, he realized that it was, in a sense, a tomb. There was a body in it. A dead body. Ferax sprawled across an ornate desk of Venusian chebar wood and crew leather. Luminous particles from a blaster discharge still danced in the air. A lingering bite of charred, exploding flesh stung the nostrils. There was little left of the torso, but a lolling globular head identified the corpse. A discarded gun clanked as Tori's foot kicked it. He hesitated, then picked it up and renewed the charge. It was an automatic reflex of defense, and fingerprint evidence was not likely to matter now. If found on the spot, he would have little chance for explanations. The thing had happened only minutes ago. Whoever did it, the killer must still be close at hand. A roving flicker of pale radiance warned Tori that a scanner was in use. By whom? From where? No complex mental processes were needed to convince Tori that he was in a bad spot. The goon squads were notorious for acting first and asking questions afterwards. Getting into the Citadel to see Ferax had been interesting enough. Getting out again promised to be more so. If he ever got out. The office door was opening slowly. Silently, Tori glided behind it. Reaching around it, he snatched cloth and flesh and dragged a struggling form into the room. Therelson. The girl was panting, her periwinkle eyes wide and glazed with horror. Tori subdued her writhings by jamming the blaster muzzle hard into her flesh. Talk low, he ordered. But talk fast. Why did you kill Ferax? I didn't. I found him like that, just a moment ago. I heard the blaster and looked in quickly. Then I hid in the office across. I heard something and came back here. That's all I know. Her voice ended on a wail. Tori jerked up the elfin face and studied it savagely. For some reason he believed her. But there was more to explain, even if someone else had killed the labor racketeer, and little time for explanations. How did you get in here? He snapped. And why? She threw back her head in a characteristic gesture. Her eyes sparkled. Roper had come here. He was so long that I got worried. I came through. She stopped talking suddenly. Through the transmitter? I know about it, so you can call it by the right name. Therelson nodded numbly. That means Roper killed him. The girl jerked angrily. Bart Roper wouldn't do that. He wouldn't kill an unarmed man. Probably you killed him, and just want to throw the blame on us. Tori ignored her. Roper would be too smart to leave any evidence. So I'll leave it for him. From his pocket he took a small lighter with a name engraved on it, quickly scrubbed it free of prints and dropped it on the floor as if it had fallen in the excitement of murder. It would not carry conviction, but it would be proof of Roper's presence and his reputation would do the rest. You fool, said Therrell Sr. I'm a witness, and I saw you do that. I'll testify. Do that, taunted Tori viciously, if it ever comes to a trial. Who'll believe you? And I don't think the strong-arm boys will wait for a trial. If you can get back through that transmitter screen, we'd better do it before someone finds us here. Take you, she snarled. I'd rather die here. You have that choice. She changed her mind. Tori did not misread the flash of wicked triumph on her face. He did not have to.